Hi, team. In this training, we will be going over Johnson & Johnson, both finance premiums, how to identify if the policy is being financed, how to process a payment when the payment is being financed, and also updates to processing debit and credit card payments with Johnson & Johnson. Okay, so with Johnson & Johnson, if the premium or the annual amount is not paid in full, unlike statewide, clients cannot make their payments, whether it's month to month or whether it's quarterly or in two. Clients cannot make those payments as they did with statewide. The premium has to be financed. So the best way to identify if a premium is financed will be two different ways. So there's not a lot of accounts so far that have premium financing, but where you can check is under secure notes in the client profile in CRM. So here we see that it says statewide Johnson & Johnson policy is financed. Payments need to be made using Johnson & Johnson login, which we're going to get to, but there is a different website that we will be posting these payments to, but we're going to need both. We're going to need both logins, Johnson & Johnson, which is a regular statewide, and the Johnson & Johnson Premium Finance, which is something different. And then although all of the accounts will have this note under secure note, where you really want to get familiar is both Johnson & Johnson and Johnson & Johnson Premium Financing. So let's just say you see the note here, you're still going to need more information. So this is the indicator that it's financed. So once you're in the Johnson & Johnson site, go ahead and pull up your policy, and you'll want to click on the policy hyperlink. Now, this is where it could be confusing and misleading. If we didn't know if the premium is financed, the client calls in, wants to make a payment, there's a zero balance due. So this portion of it will not be the indicator if the premium is financed. Johnson & Johnson Premium Finance pays this policy off. So this is why it's showing a balance due, because no money is owed to Johnson & Johnson. It's owed to Johnson & Johnson Premium Finance. So from here, you'll click on the View Accounting Details hyperlink. Which will open the transaction history. So again, there's a couple places here where it's still showing total due 0, minimum due 0. So where you're going to identify if it's financed is right here. It's on the right portion of the screen, and it says financed by JJPF, which stands for Johnson & Johnson Premium Finance. So you'll have to access this site in order to see what payment is due, how many payments are due, due dates, and all of that additional information. There is a link that we can click here. But the best way will be using Underwriting Buddy. All of the codes are loaded in. And just like we log into statewide using 48, since that's our master, you'll need to do the same for Johnson & Johnson Premium Finance. So Johnson & Johnson, 48th. And this is what this looks like. From here, you're going to click on Accounts. And there are different couple ways we can look up the customer's account. You can do the name of the customer, but I find it easier to just click on Find Account. And it will show us all of the policies with Johnson & Johnson that have premium financing. So there is a quick view which I really like. They do have a separate account number. So just FYI, at some given point, we are going to need this. So you may want to copy this into your notepad if you use it on the computer, or on your physical notepad if you're old school like me. So we can see their finance account number, their name. Automatically here, we can see their next due date, what amount is due, and it shows us what type of installment plan they're in. So these particular, for the most part, are 10 installments. And then we do have some that differ. So we have some of 6, 3 installments. We have one that's in 9. So aside from that, we can see the balance, pay off, and the status. So if they're overdue, if they've been sent a cancellation notice, we also see here intent to cancel and the date, if it's been paid off, or if they're current. Again, this is a quick view. So we're going to be accessing this particular client's account, so Ramon Vargas, and you can access by clicking on the account type. Okay, this is a lot of information, right? So it breaks it down in different sections. These accounts do have interest. It does state how much they paid for their down payment, the amount, the percentage that down payment was. So there's a lot, but as far as when's the next due date, current amount due, there is the payment information section, which is right here. So when they're going to be mailed their statement, what number in the installment that is. So this is where you want to focus your attention. If you wanted to see when the last payment was made, there is a section that's under recent activity. So it'll tell you when the last payment was made, how much, and how that payment was made. So in this case, it was routing an account number. Now, I will suggest to use the account menu dropdown, because it will simply display what it is that you're looking for. So if you want to see the payment schedule along with the history, you can click here. So again, this is the only payment that they've made, but instead of it being so overwhelming or seeing all these different squares and lines of information, you can search for exactly what it is that you need. You can also see when the notices have been mailed out, which is beneficial to us. If the client is calling to ask, I haven't received it, or they're stating they didn't, we can see exactly what was mailed out and when. And then aside from that, whether it's over the phone or in office, you can provide the customer a copy with their future installment. So everything that will be billed out, we can print out for them. So I really like that because it helps with reminders, giving this something to the customers that they can piggyback on. So once we've identified, what the amount is due. So this particular account doesn't have a payment due until October in the amount of $210. They do have a $10 late fee, and it tells you as of when it's considered late. In this case, after 10/12, instead of that $210.44, it'll be $220.44. So again, this section does give us a lot of information. Now, if we are going to process that payment, use your account menu dropdown and go ahead and click on enter payment. And this will default to the amount that's due. Another thing is that you'll only be able to select routing and account number here. And it'll default to yes, that because we have to enter their account information every single time. So once you've done that, you'll have to choose between whether it's a personal account or commercial. It's defaulting his last name in the first name section for some reason, but you can go ahead and switch that, their address, the bank name, and then routing and account number. Once you save, you can go ahead and post. Now you will not get a confirmation number, but you do get a breakdown of the payment confirmation details or the summary, but not a confirmation number. So You'll want to copy that and put it into notes, space it out so that it's not all mumbled jumbled, but that will be proof in the notes that the payment did go ahead and post. Now, I did mention at the beginning that there will be some changes with how we handle credit card and debit card payments. All this time with Statewide, what we've done is we've processed the payments through CyberSource, and you'll send out an email to home and we process that with all's account. So effective immediately, we're going to have to run those card payments directly to the carrier site. We've been, you could say, coughing up that expense all these years because they've never offered agency sweep. They still don't offer agency sweep, but we need to start passing that down to the customer. So we'll talk about how to do that for Johnson & Johnson policies that are paid in full. But if we stay on the topic of policies that are financed, remember we said you're going to need the account number. So it's not processed within this site. What you'll want to do is you'll need to log out. I know. So you'll have to grab your account number, which is here. And you'll also need the zip code, which you can grab from Underwriting Buddy. So I'm going to go ahead and copy my account number and then log out. And this is what their homepage looks like before anyone logs in. So you're going to click on make a payment to my account by credit card debit. You'll need to leave this payment type as installment, and then you'll enter your account number, and the zip code for our policyholder is 85017. I didn't find it. Let me see. Here we go. Okay, so we can see the insured's name, just to confirm that we're in the right account, the property address, and again, it shows us a payment due date. So it'll show us when it's due, which is the same information that we were seeing through the other view, the payment amount and their balance. So from here, you'll click make a payment. And it is redirecting us, so it takes just a little while to load. Okay, and the fee, the credit card fee that they have because they use a third-party vendor is 3% of the payment. We see that this fee is higher when clients are paying in full because it's 3% of usually our average is $1,200 per se. So it's 3% of $1,200, whereas 3% of $210 is only this $631. So before you process the payment, just confirm with the customer that there is a credit card fee. But the good news is that we can save them that fee if they want to pay with a routing and account number, which we're accustomed to do with American Summit. Commonwealth this week implemented that new credit card fee too. So a lot of these companies are pushing clients to either be on EFT or again, they can save themselves that fee by using the routing and account. So if that's something the customer doesn't feel comfortable with paying, there are options. So if the customer in this case does want to move forward with, and they're okay with that fee, you have to agree to the terms and service. And there are no refunds if the customer policy, if the customer cancels your policy, these service fees will not be refundable. So that's what it's referring to. And then you'll be able to enter their card information. They do take Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and Discover. And you'll also be able to send them a text message if you'd like from this system once that payment has gone through. So from here, you'll click next. You will get a summary before you process it. And that will be that. You would have processed a payment through their credit card system. So it's just very important to outline what we don't want to do is if their finance process any payments through the direct Johnson & Johnson site. Although you know, they're similar names, it's Johnson & Johnson and then it's Johnson & Johnson Premium Financing. They're not the same company. So they're not siblings, they're cousins. So their systems do not talk to each other. If we process a payment through this site, it will not tell premium finance that a payment has been made, which can lead to a policy being canceled because it's financing that the money is owed to, not Johnson & Johnson. Okay, so it's really important to, if we see a balance due of 0 and the customer saying that they know they have a payment due, we always want to refer back to notes. We want to look under secure notes, and just for our peace of mind, go in under the transaction history so that you can ensure that it's not financed. Now, let's pretend this is a renewal. They're ready to pay in full. You would follow the same steps to process that payment if they're paying with their credit or debit card, or we can push for the routing and account number, which we would all process through the Johnson & Johnson site. So here, once you click make a payment, you can either do EFT or credit card, and it will always display the fees before you process it.